So what we are doing is looking at a frequency range, and we can only perceive this frequency range in terms of what we call physical reality. If people, and of course, you're there, I'm here, empty space, empty space, empty space, empty space. But if you could tease out your frequency range of perception, you'd realize that the empty space is vibrating energy, which connects me to you, me to this chair, me to that water, me to the camera. Everything is one pulsating energy field, and the what we call self is merely the point within that infinite consciousness from which we're observing reality at that point. That's all it is. We are awareness, and if I'm looking through the lens of the physical body into this reality, I perceive, if I don't know better, that I am a man called David Icke, born in Leicester in 1952, and I'm an individual human having an experience. If my point of observation in the same infinite consciousness, because this is part of infinite consciousness as well, it's just in a different vibrational state and therefore level of awareness, then suddenly I'm all that is, has been, and never will be. It's just the point from which we observe everything. And it transforms not only the way we perceive life, it transforms our ability to live life instead of letting life live us, which what most humans do. They think they're at the mercy of life because that's what we're programmed to believe. Once you realize you're not at the mercy of life, something funny happens. You're not at the mercy of life.
But don't our morals disappear then? There's good and evil if it's all one thing. I mean, some New Agers are, like Alistair Crowley says, love shall be the whole of the law. There's only no good and evil. Do you believe in good and evil? If you change your perspective.
Well, what is good and evil? It's a point of perspective.
It's a point of perspective.
A point of perspective within infinite possibility. Because infinite consciousness is infinite possibility. And so there's a point of observing reality in which you think it's okay to sacrifice children, to the gods, right? There's another point where a perception within infinite possibility where you realize that that's horrific and all the rest of it. And the difference is, what choice are you going to make on where you're perceiving reality from? And so you could say there is good and evil because there are what we call evil things, the opposite of live, the reverse of live, and there's things that are not what we would perceive as evil. Or you could say that actually good and evil don't exist because it's just a point of perception.
But that's dangerous, because then you can, do...
No, absolutely. I feel very strongly about David is meaning, because in our mind-controlled system, that is space and time. And in this level, all these things are happening. And of course, there is compassion and sorrow and birthing and dying. But in another vibration, in what he is meaning, emptiness, it's not only a word, it's a force, infinite consciousness. There, all the things are changing from the point of view. Because we have always judges, we have always a moral. That doesn't mean that you are going to say, let it go. No, of course not. You are also, in the same time, in the level of time and space. But what he is expressing, I feel it very strong. It's something of intuition, but I feel also that there is also something more important, infinite consciousness. And you are always then asking, is it not dangerous? Dangerous means dangerous and not dangerous. That's duality. And duality is only possible in the left side and the right side. So if we make together, heaven is starting there, we are saying, and hell is starting there. No, it's starting here. That's what I feel.
It's a perception. It's total perception. And when people leave this reality, believing in heaven and hell, even when they leave the body, they can still perceive duality on certain, levels, even in a disembodied state, if their sense of perception is so programmed that that's still the point that they're observing reality from. I think what they call lost souls and all this stuff is actually a consciousness, disembodied consciousness, that is still programmed through its experience to perceive the world from a certain perspective. And if you reach this point of oneness, everything balances everything else out. You're out of the realm of duality, so there is no good and evil at that level. Because good and evil, negative and positive, right and wrong, all these things balance each other out into what I always perceive as silence and stillness. Because I went into another state of awareness in 2003 in the rainforest of Brazil. And I had this conversation, well, it wasn't a conversation, I was just listening, with this very powerful, loud female voice that talked to me for over a period of 2 nights, for 5 hours, about the nature of reality. And there were many profound things that were said. And one of them was, if it vibrates, it's illusion. End of story. If it vibrates, it's illusion. Because what you have, I'm going to talk about this on Saturday, this is the way I perceive it. People think that for something to exist, it has to do something. But infinite potential is just infinite potential. And silence contains all sound. Right? Because, okay, people say, when you listen to silence, what can you hear? And they say nothing. What they can hear is everything. Now, okay, we've got the silence, that's all possibility, or an expression of it. And then I start talking. Now I've pulled one possibility out of all possibility, and I've manifested what you might call form. And then when I stop talking, it goes back into the silence. And so this world of apparent things comes out of not everything, but everything and nothing. Because everything and nothing are the same thing. It's just all potential. And it's silent and it's still. And then as these possibilities are pulled out of the infinite potential, what we call dimensions, densities, worlds, then things start vibrating because that manifests form. And that's why the voice said to me very clearly, if it vibrates, it's illusion. It's creation. There's a difference between creation, form, and infinite possibility, infinite awareness. All that is, has been, and ever will be. That's where it comes out of, and that's where we go back to. And we'll come out of it again. There's another form of potential. We are it. But when we come into the realm of form and sound only exists in here when it's decoded, by the way, when we come into this realm, then we can get a sense of false identity, which is fine, it's an experience. But if your false identity becomes so all-encompassing that you have no awareness of your true state, that's when you can get lost, and that's when you can get into the state we're in. You know?
One thing there, as David is saying, as long as there is vibration, there is duality. Even if you are saying, I'm going to listen to silence, we have always to question it. Who is listening? To what? Who is listening to what? So, in my consciousness, that is infinite consciousness, but at the same time, all the other games, all the other things. And we have the level from that's important, that's not important, that's dangerous, that's not dangerous, that's good, that's bad. It exists, absolutely. And there is also a struggle like the Bhagavad Gita. Things has happened already. But for understanding that, that's what David said in the beginning. No mind.
What I'm finding myself saying more and more and more and more, I'll talk about this on Saturday, is it doesn't matter. You know, we go through life. I have this thing of the deathbed awareness. You're on your deathbed, you've got 10 minutes to live. Look back at your life, all the things that wound you up, all the things you got angry about, all the things you got frustrated about, all the things that made your life unpleasant, and ask yourself from the perspective of 10 minutes to live within this reality, which of them matter now? Answer, none. We better open the door.
David, thank you so much.
No problem. Lovely to meet you. You've got a fabulous energy.
I have a little...